What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I am super excited to show you guys a full face of drugstore makeup. We are going to do a full face. I'm going to show you every product that I love from the drugstore, where you can get it, because when I say drugstore, I mean your CVS, your Rite Aid, your Walgreens, Walmart, Target, and then a little bit of Ulta, because I do have a couple products that are sold at Ulta, but then online only as well. So I'm going to show you guys those. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get a beautiful makeup look, and I hope to prove that to you guys today. So without further ado, if you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more of it, give this a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click that bell so you guys get notified of my future uploads, and let's get started. We're gonna start with our face. My face is already prepped. I've washed, moisturized, and used my sunscreen, which if you guys saw in my previous video, I used the Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen, which unfortunately is not from the drugstore, but I really enjoy it. So my skin is prepped. But I'm going to go in with primer, and this is the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. So this is like the original. It is a dupe for the Tarte Poreless Putty, which I really enjoy as well. This is a pore filling primer. A little goes a pretty long way, so I just kind of dig my finger into it. Really want to get in there. As you guys can see, I just kind of dig it out. And then we're just going to kind of place it in my T-zone here, where I have the most texture and the largest pores. Once it's warmed up, I just kind of press and pull it into the skin. Anywhere I have those pores and texture, I really like to put this. Now that we have my hair pinned back, you guys can see it just kind of creates this nice smoothing look to the skin. Nothing too crazy, doesn't really matte you down. They do have a mattifying one. They also have a luminous one, I believe, or like a hydrating one, but I prefer the original. It works best for me. I am then going to prime my eyes. So I am going to use the Ulta Beauty Matte Eye Primer. This isn't necessarily super drugstore, but Ulta does have a section of their stores that sells drugstore brands, and it's Ulta brand, and I think this is like $12, so it's in that drugstore price range. So with it being a matte base, I did one eye and not the other, so you guys can see. It just kind of creates this nice even tone to the eyelid. It has a nice neutral look to it, no crazy color, no super bright white like some primers can be. And I just love the way it makes the eyelid look, so it's ready for your eyeshadow. So I will show you guys. I just kind of tap and wipe. It goes on super nice. It's not super sticky to where you can't buff and blend your eyeshadow, which I really like. I always use this. I'll even use it on no makeup days, or no makeup days, just if I want to make my eyes look a little more awake and not so veiny or red. While that sits and kind of warms up, we're gonna go to the face. I've already recorded this whole first part of this video, and then I realized it was not recording, so my brush is dirty. And oh, we're back at it. We're gonna combine two things from the drugstore that I really enjoy face-wise. So for the face, first I am going to show you guys the e.l.f. Camo CC. It's a color correcting full coverage natural finish. It has collagen, peptides, SPF. This is a total dupe for the IT Cosmetics CC cream. I have the shade Light 240W, which is a little light for me. It's definitely my winter shade, but it's a lightweight. It can be full coverage. It's hydrating. It leaves a nice natural finish. So you guys like that more lightweight foundation, this is definitely something that you guys should check out. So we're going to show you this. But I'm also going to show you guys this Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. This bad boy is like $4.99. It is so good. It is full coverage. It is more of your matte finish. I have the shade Classic Beige, or 371C. And this is more full coverage. I'm hoping it's going to give me a little more color if we like combine the two. I'm like, I need to go shopping for summer shades. The one bad thing about the Wet n Wild, which I think anybody would say, is the smell of this is absolutely, it smells like your typical drugstore makeup. Like, I don't want to say paint thinner, but I've heard a lot of people say it's paint thinner. It just has a very bad smell. It goes away. It's not like you constantly smell it on your face, but when you first open it and put it on your skin, it does smell, so be aware. It just comes with like a little spatula, which isn't bad, but it's not my favorite, if I do say so. It's okay. It's kind of cool. You can just kind of like paint your face, but I'm just gonna do like little baby pumps of it. I'm gonna go in with a brush first. Again, it's dirty because I already recorded this part, but hey, you know. But this is the e.l.f. Complexion Duo. This launched when the e.l.f. CC came out, so it has a concealer side and then the foundation side. It's a nice dense brush. It reminds me of a kabuki. It's a little more loose than your typical kabuki, but I really do like it. So we're going to blend this out. Again, if we're a little light on the color, we'll bronze up our skin. That odor is definitely coming through, but it's not terrible. When you think of like even 10 years ago, drugstore makeup, like that smell, that is it. We're just gonna blend this out, and then I'm also gonna go in with a sponge. Definitely a little light, so I'm gonna see if we can just add a tad bit more. We'll get that coverage too. And I'm actually going to use a sponge. So I have a dampened beauty sponge here. This is from Juno & Co. You can get these at Target or junoandco.com. I absolutely love these sponges. They have like this felt overlay to them, and they are just so good. Soft, spongy, blend out beautifully. They have different colors and different shapes. The three I have are the blue, pink, and yellow. The blue and the pink are similar. They have like this flat side, and then everything else is domed, but it still has the points where you can get in and get your concealer. And then the yellow, the bottom is just flat, and it's like your typical teardrop shape. Super soft, bouncy. They clean easily and blend out beautifully as well. I'm just going to take my beauty sponge and kind of finish blending, press it into the skin. It'll pick up any excess that we have as well. Pretty blended out. We are full coverage, but lightweight. I don't feel it's not heavy. It's not cakey. The drugstore is really, really, really coming around with the foundation products. For concealer, I have two here. They're by the same thing. And if you guys are going to get the hint that I love e.l.f. products, I think they are the best drugstore brand, and they are coming out with new and amazing things every day. I have the e.l.f. Camo concealer. I have the hydrating one, which is the white cap, and the original one, which is the black. These shades are not identical between finishes. So if you get the hydrating one or the original one, the shades don't match, so be careful. But this is a 16-hour wear. It is a dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape. I'm actually going to use the original today. No, we'll use the hydrating one actually. So you're gonna get pretty full coverage from this. It's cheap, I think it's $6. And this is the shade Light Sand, and in the original I have Light Beige, which let's just see. I think the light beige, yeah, it's just a little lighter. I love little baby sponges. I don't know about you guys, but this is a little pack that I got from Ulta, so pretty cheap. I think I got 3 or 4 of these little guys in the pack, and I just love to use these for concealer personally. It's not super, super damp. Like I didn't really like dampen it, squeeze it out, dampen it, squeeze it out, but it did get a little bigger. This is a dry one. Just got a little puffier. They're super soft. We're just gonna go in and blend out the concealer. The one thing you do have to be careful of, which I'm probably going to run into, this is not a concealer that you can let sit for too long and still blend it out. It has a quicker dry down, so just be aware of that. They blend out beautifully. The coverage is a full coverage. They have a wide shade range, which is always nice, and you're saving some bucks instead of paying for the Tarte Shape Tape. Now that we're looking nice and ghostly, we are going to set our concealer. An oldie, but a goodie. Coty Airspun. It makes an absolute mess, but it is so good from the drugstore. You get this big container for like $8, I believe. It is just so good. This is the loose face powder, the original. The scent just takes me back to my childhood with my grandma. Like it just, I enjoy the smell. You may not, but it does make a mess when you guys open it, so be careful. It's definitely not your thing to travel with. Like put it in a different container if you want to travel with it, but it's good. So I'm going to take our same sponge and I'm going to use that flat side, just kind of dip in here and set that concealer. I have a different powder for all over our face. And while we're doing this, I mentioned in my last video that I set my brows. I am going to make sure that I go over with this setting powder in my brows to kind of prep them. And this is where I like set so we don't get oily. Seems weird, but it works. Let that sit for just a couple minutes to kind of bake. So I'm going to dust it away. And then we are going to set the rest of the face. This, I will say, the scent does kind of linger. I enjoy it. It's just very, I don't want to say old lady-ish, but it is. It's just kind of like that old lady makeup smell. And like a powder room. I just picture like a powder room smelling like this. I personally enjoy it. You may not. But to set the rest of the face, I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. This is the shade Medium. This is just a really nice setting powder. It's not going to add any more coverage. It's not a foundation, but it has this tiny little sheen to it. Me being oily, I don't notice it like crazy, causing me to look extra shiny, but it just is a good setting powder. So I'm just going to kind of I'll dust off into the cap, and then I'll just kind of set the rest of my face. I just take a flat kind of condensed brush so it can really stipple in there. Another one that I do want to mention, is just a little light for me right now, is the Maybelline Fit Me. This is the pressed powder, so it's a matte and poreless for oily skin. I do really enjoy this as well. Just like a little pod here, it's a pressed powder. Really nice to set the face, but then also add just that little bit of coverage and blurring. Maybelline Fit Me is another really good option, and it's from the drugstore. For bronzer, we're going to bronze up the skin right now. I usually would wait after the eyes, but I need to bronze up the skin and not look so ghostly. So this is from Essence. This is the Sun Club Luminous Bronzing Powder, and I have the medium tone. There are a couple different ones. This is a really nice powder. It is more of your matte, but it does have just a tiny sheen to it. I love matte bronzers. That's all I use. You will very rarely see me use a shimmer bronzer. Not for me. If you do like shimmer bronzers, I highly recommend you contour with matte and then bronze with that shimmer one. I'm just going to take this angled brush here and kind of go in. We're going to do like a bronzing contour. So I don't have a liquid contour from the drugstore. You could totally take the e.l.f. Camo and get a shade that is a little too dark for you. Just take my bronzer and go in and contour and then buff it out. The smell on this is so good. It smells like sunscreen, like suntan lotion, like you're on the beach. Cannot wait for summer. I think this big pan is $6. And it's a pretty large pan. I have not hit pan, and I use it quite often. So I do just put it everywhere, just kind of bronze up exactly where I would contour. You can take a smaller brush for our nose. And then I contour my lips as well. Just kind of add a little bit of bronzer around it and helps give it that like pout look. Don't have a drugstore blush. I have this one from BoxyCharm. It's from Iconic London. For a palette, I don't think it's super expensive. Like, I looked it up, and you can get a couple of them for like $20 on Wayfair or things like that. But it is an entire palette here of bronzers and blushes. So I think I'm going to jump in. I do matte blushes as well. So I think I'm going to jump into this blush here just to add a little something to our cheeks. Again, I'm just not a huge blush person, but it just adds a little something. That's a very pretty color. Not a lot of sheen. Some like that. So there's that like little bit of sheen, probably from the bronzer and that setting, but I don't mind it. It's not over exaggerating my texture and pores. Okay, so I went ahead and did my brows off camera because I don't have an exact drugstore brow pencil, but I do have the one from Sephora. It's only $12 and it works amazing. I absolutely love it. So I do have one from e.l.f., but the shade is, now that my hair is even darker, so we're gonna forget about that one. So on to shadow. So this is where, when I say drugstore, some people might disagree, but the price point for these eyeshadow palettes is total drugstore. Drugstore eyeshadow palettes, I think they still just need a little oomph. e.l.f. makes some great ones, but you're limited to shades and size. They have the little pods that I think are really good. There's like a 4 shadow or 5 shadow that are pretty cheap, but they just don't always give what I want, and I really love a good shadow. So these are from ColourPop. I have a few here to show you guys. These are my 2 go-tos that I find myself gravitating towards all the time. But these are by ColourPop, and they are sold at Ulta, a limited amount. You can't get their entire product line at Ulta. 9 shadows. These are $14, and they are beautiful. They are pigmented, they blend well, they last all day. So for the price point, their shadows are amazing. I have the Honey, which is a little more fun. It might scare people, but the yellows are just absolutely gorgeous in it. It's super fun. You have a couple little neutrals here, but really, really fun palette, and I find myself gravitating towards it when I want that pop of color. And then this Going Coconuts palette is your everyday neutral. I think everybody needs this palette. It's so good. Here are your neutral shades. You have mattes, you have shimmers. It is just a great all over palette that anybody and everyone can use. The color tones are amazing. This was a limited edition that they came out with last year. This is the Ornate, and it is also one of the pressed shadow palettes. It doesn't have a mirror, the other 2 do. So again, for $14, you're getting 9 highly pigmented blendable shades and a mirror. And a lot of drugstore companies don't put mirrors in their shadow palettes, and it drives me nuts. Because if you want to take this on the go, I don't have a mirror, then you have to now pack a mirror. So I like having nice compacts like this that I know I can go travel with or take them with me for wherever I need to go, and I have a mirror, I'm set to go. This is the Ornate palette. Really, really beautiful shades in it as well. More of your purples and like maroons, but you got a couple shimmers in there, and it just is super pretty for like fall, winter. So I just want to show you guys this. We're not going to use this today, even though that shade is super pretty. And that is like a springy, I love that like mustard color, but super pretty palette. Again, these are only $14. So check out ColourPop, you guys. They're at Ulta and online. So between these 2, I think I'm actually going to play with both of them today. We're going to do like a little neutral look with a pop of color. So we're going to go back and forth between the Honey and the Going Coconuts so I can show you guys. So starting with the Going Coconuts, I am going to go into this shade Shredded, which is this top neutral shade here. I'm going to go all over the lid just to get a nice clean base. Started with eye primer, and I got a little crazy with the concealer, which I don't love to get concealer on my lids, so that's why I'm just going over with this nice neutral shade, brighten up the eye and give us a nice base to work with. And then we're going to kind of use it as our highlight up here as well. Staying with the Going Coconuts palette, I am going to go into Lovely Bunch as a transition. These colors just blend beautifully. They're highly pigmented. I've not had a single palette that I do not like from them. Even their limited edition, which sometimes you'll catch limited edition palettes just don't have the quality behind them. ColourPop, and it seems like they are coming out with a palette every 5 minutes, and they are still so good. They have bigger palettes. They have, I think it's called the Bare Necessities palette, which is bigger, but it reminds me of the Going Coconuts, but on steroids. It's all your nice neutral tones, which is a great, great palette to have as well. To deepen that up, I'm going to go into Colada, which is this deeper tone right here. All right, and then I'm going to go into Nutty, which is the deepest for the outer corner. As you can see, super pigmented. I might have gone in with a little too much, so I'm just going to kind of place it, and then we'll blend it out. So I'm going to go back with that original brush that we used that has that light tone on it and just kind of buff this out. They blend just so beautifully. Super pretty. Think we're done with the Going Coconuts, maybe for now. Let's jump into this Honey palette. I'm going to take, just because I know these colors, they look brown, but they have a little bit of like that yellow undertone. So I'm going to take this Totally Buggin' right here and go right kind of in the middle so we don't have a weird transition into the yellow. Again, it's going to come off. It's definitely more yellow than like what the pan shows, I think. We got that pop of yellow. I love it. I'm going to take a baby bit of Buzzkill right here. Buzzkill didn't work, so I just take that dark brush into the darkest shade in the outer corner and blended to make sure that our two shadows right here are kind of coming together. Buzzkill didn't want to show up. I was a little too dark in the outer corner already. And then I am going to jump into, we're just going right into the bright. We're going to go into Sweet Spot right here. Just kind of have like this small brush right in the inner corner. Same on the other side. Going back into the Going Coconuts palette for underneath our eye, I am going to grab Lovely Bunch. And a little bit of Colada. Back into Honey, into Sweet Spot, which is that yellow. Just to kind of create like a V here. Okay, I think that is the eyeshadow. Now to liner. I have a color, or a couple from ColourPop here. I have their liquid liner and their BFF liquid liner. BFF is more of like a paintbrush tip, whereas the original liquid liner is more of your like spongy pen. We're gonna go in with the BFF and just create a nice little line. Creates a good line. It is a matte finish. It's wet, but not too wet to where you can't work with it or it kind of goes out of place. It dries down pretty quick. Hoping those look somewhat alike. Also for liner from ColourPop, I absolutely love their cream gel liners. This is the shade Honeydew, which is like a nude. They also have a white, they have all different colors, but a white is also a really good one to have. But I throw this in my bottom waterline. Just kind of brightens up the lower lid and opens up your eyes. You can do this as white as well. I just prefer to do like with the nude shade. White can sometimes just be a little stark. For mascara, I have two that I want to show you. The original one that I would have told you guys is the Essence/Princess. I absolutely love this. It comes in a few different styles. But the blue one here is waterproof, which is really nice, but really good, long lasting. I think this mascara is $4. And the newest one that has been all over TikTok, and I don't even have TikTok, is the Maybelline Sky High mascara, which I happen to have. And I have the waterproof one. I didn't realize I got the waterproof, but it was the only one. It was sitting on an end cap when I found it. So I was like, give me. It has all the hype and it is pretty good. We're gonna use this today. The cool thing about this, which I didn't think I would actually like, is the brush on this is so flexible. It almost seems like it wouldn't work, like it would be too weak. But it's actually very nice that it's that bendy because it really can just work with your eyes. So we're gonna go in with this. It really just lengthens and separates. I'm trying to not get it all over my shadow. So that is one coat on that eye. I typically only do one coat of mascara. Just my preference. I don't like to have them too spidery, thick, cakey, or I put on falsies. That is one coat on both on the top. Again, it gives good length, volume, everything. It is just actually a really good mascara from the drugstore. And I will say the drugstore kills it with mascaras. There are so many good ones. Like, it's crazy. Throwing this on the bottom real quick. Again, I would like to find a non-waterproof for every day because I don't like to use waterproof every single day, but I found it, I had to have it. And for lippies, I do have a gloss from ColourPop that is actually amazing. It came out with the Ornate palette that I showed you guys. This is their Luxe, this is the shade that came out with the Ornate palette, but they have these Luxe lip glosses all the time, and they are so good. They have a great color, juicy, not sticky, but this is the shade Renaissance. And then I also have these matte satins from Milani. Milani is one of another like top dog in the drugstore brand in my opinion. But this is the Amore Satin Matte Lip Cream, and I have the shade Velvet. So we're gonna throw this on. It might be a little pinky, but that is okay. And the cool thing is when these dry down, they're pretty, I don't want to say transfer proof, but they don't immediately get all over your coffee cup, your food, everything like that. So these are actually super, super nice. And they have a pretty good color range, nice neutrals, which I prefer. I really like these. They're that creamy matte. They're not super drying, everything like that. I'm going to go ahead and top with this Luxe Lip Gloss from ColourPop. These glosses are good, and this is a super pretty color on its own. That is it for my drugstore full face. Again, we don't have a lot of money spent on all of this, and we have a beautiful look. You can get just as good a look with drugstore products as you can from the high end. Don't be afraid, go check out those drugstore brands. You do not have to spend a lot of money to get a gorgeous makeup look. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Comment below any questions or ideas that you may have for me that you would like to see. And I will catch you guys on my next one. Bye.